How's it going on this Wednesday? I wanted to say hi and check up on you, see how you're doing. Just trying to leave you space to do your things and not bombard you because I know you're getting bombarded elsewhere. But also just saying hi. I'm here, and so I'm gonna talk to you. And let's finish this thing. So we're getting close. We are in the last two units. So the last week, so this is a 2-week unit. The last week is right now. We have a deadline on Friday. We also have a deadline for a bigger assignment on Monday. And so I'm going to mostly talk about that today. So hopefully you've been working on it. There's a lot of stuff in the news that you can compile and use. Every day I'm seeing articles, and so a lot of information about an event cancellation. So this unit, the unit that we're in right now, has a big component about event staffing, and one of those modules is auxiliary groups that are often run from an outside company, kind of like Sodexo does with athletics. So that might be concessions, it might be security. So a lot of the part-time employees that we see at events are one of the groups that are hurting right now from not having sports. So we really don't have to look far to see stories about how teams and organizations aren't using these groups. So this is one of the job loss effects going on right now. And I get the newspaper, and there was an article in it yesterday about how the state's two minor league teams, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals and then the Travelers here, about some of those part-time groups. They were interviewing some of those people, those part-time staff that usually do some aspect like ushers, people that work in the press box, the scorekeeper. So they're looking forward to getting back into the ballpark, but it's teams not using staff, especially part-time staff, is one of the hardships that's going on, and we can even see that locally. That's here in town. So going back to the event observation assignment, that's due on Monday, and I've adjusted that. So you've got two options. If you made it through your event, great, go for it. As it was before, as the assignment was before. For example, I was at the Little Rock Marathon on March the 1st. That went through. That was probably one of the last big events that we saw locally. So that went. I think that was. I'm glad we got that through that and got that over with. Otherwise, that would have been really tough to undo everything that we had done. So if you didn't get to see an event and observe it kind of according to the assignment, so what I've adjusted it to is pick an event, any event you want, big or small, and research some aspects of the cancellation. So it'll be a lot easier to do that with some of the bigger events that we're seeing. I think I use the examples of the Major League Baseball season opening and the Boston Marathon. I think Boston was the one that was fresh on my mind because that cancellation had just happened when I made the adjustments to the assignment. I mean, now we're across the board, cancellations everywhere. So, close your eyes and point to a map and you'll find one. I just saw where yesterday they finally canceled the Tour de France, and that's always scheduled in July. So, I'm surprised it kind of took them that long. But so what I'm asking you to do with that assignment is research some different aspects of that cancellation. And so some of those aspects are the processes of cancellation. How did that cancellation take place? For example, is it just plain old canceled? Is it postponed? Right now we've got a postponement of the Olympics. So kind of give me some of those details. They're postponing the Olympics. They're putting them 1 year out. And there's still a little bit of debate if they'll even be ready in a year. So what was the process of that cancellation? A straight up cancellation, a postponement? What were the details on that? How is it going to resume? Were people refunded? What's the plan for that process of cancellation? So that's one aspect. Another aspect is what that cancellation means for athletes. So I was reading a little bit about Major League Baseball, and that's one of the seasons that we would be in right now were we in a season. And some of the Major League Baseball athletes are concerned with, let's say they do play a season and they stretch it, so they start it late and they stretch it late. Are they going to be playing too many games? Are they going to be at risk for injury because they don't have the usual rhythm of days off and the season ending in kind of mid-fall? You know, are they going to be playing into November and have an increased risk for injuries and cold weather stuff, injuries? So just a thought with what that means to athletes. Another thing was Olympics. You know, if now that the Olympics are postponed a year, does that make a difference in training cycles of athletes? The IOC is if Olympic athletes are serving a ban for like controlled substances, they will be off of that ban and they'll be eligible to compete a year from now. So that is another kind of implication for that postponement that has to do with athletes. So I've listed two things: the process of cancellation, what it means for athletes. A third that you might think about is what it means to the community. So, you know, I mentioned kind of some economic impact and some job losses for our own local minor league team here, the Travelers. So what does that mean for the community? What does that look like for lost revenue or job losses? I was reading an article about the College World Series in Omaha. So they built that stadium specifically for the College World Series. And the local school, I think it's Creighton, the local school in Omaha plays there, but it's nothing like the normal College World Series economic impact. You know, it's that brings in a lot of business to Omaha for a few weeks during the College World Series. So what does it mean locally? So that's three things: the process of cancellation, what it means to the athletes, what it means for the community. And then a fourth thing I thought of is what it means for that sport. So what does it mean for the sport as a whole? And some examples I can think of there are that the NCAA is now going to allow an additional year of eligibility for athletes that are losing a season in the spring. And I don't know how far that's extending, if it's beyond the spring at this point or if it's only the spring sports that got canceled. So a whole other year of NCAA eligibility is going to have big ramifications for sport as a whole. How are schools going to fund that? What is that going to look like in terms of recruitment and rosters? So, with the NCAA championships, for example, now schools and coaches are kind of at a point of confusion over how postseason bonuses work. So they're going to have to figure that out. So that's a fourth area of discussion that you can visit with this particular topic. So how the cancellation happened, the process, what it means for athletes, what it means for the community, and then what it means for kind of the overall sport as a whole, for the bigger picture of the sport. So I'm seeing all kinds of news. So hope that you're finding plenty of sources with that. It's pretty easy if you look up sources like the local newspaper, the Democrat Gazette. You can get access to that through the Euler Library. Just go on the Euler Library's website and type in Arkansas Democrat Gazette newspaper, and you'll see that you can get access. Looking at articles from places like ESPN or Associated Press, that's going to be news kind of in the format for the things I'm looking for. I also read every day. I read Athletic Business. So if you Google Athletic Business Magazine, they send out a daily, like a little daily blurb, and I get a lot of really quick, interesting articles from that. So I recommend, and you can subscribe and get it in your email every day. So I think I've hyped that before with you guys. So just wanted to let you know some of the news news sources that I'm seeing, and it's just interesting every day. All the various different aspects of sport cancellation that we're seeing. So anywho, just some tips and discussion on that event observation assignment. Let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate your communication, and let's hang in there. We will have baseball at some point this season, I hope. So that's one of my favorite things about spring, summer. So all right, everybody hang in there. I'll talk to you soon.